ビビってねえでかかってこいよ。
なんで挑発しちゃうんですか。
よっ
私今飛んで。
嘘だろ、死ぬぞ。
うち
久しぶりだな。戻ってきたぜ。リヴァイア。
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video on the VikingGnomeAnime channel. Today we are going to be reviewing the second episode of Summoned to Another World for a second time. Now, I really expected this episode to be way more gung-ho and power fantasy, full-on OP bonanza, but to my surprise, they're actually taking it very slowly in comparison to what I expected. I will be going through the plot points here very quickly, then we will talk a bit more about the episode as a whole and my thoughts on it. So, in the second episode, we start out getting introduced to this young girl, who was the apprentice for her grandfather, who was a famous jeweler. We get some backstory on her, and him and her meeting the protagonist, Setsu, 5 years ago when he was reincarnated. And that we then see the funeral for the grandfather as he dies off, and the granddaughter has promised to deliver the grandfather's last jewelry repair job to a customer. We then see her traveling at night on the way to delivering this, and she then gets attacked by a wild boar, at which point the MC intervenes and saves her, of course. After which point, the MC begrudgingly transports accompanies and transports the young lady to a port town where she's hoping to catch a ride to the Demon Continent, which is apparently where the customer is for this brooch that she is carrying on behalf of her grandfather. But no ship wants to go there because of the active war and such going on currently. We then get some quick scenes with the guards at the port basically just trying to scam people or like whatever else they do there, corrupt something. So they try to basically get the things in her bag, probably to sell them off, who knows, but Setsu intervenes and saves her, and the guards back off. And at which point, after a while, between the young girl and Setsu, he begrudgingly says, okay, you know what, I'm going to the Demon Continent, so I'll take you since no one else is going to, apparently. And she, is quite happy. He's like, yay, okay, let's go. No, thank you. And they then sleep at an inn for the night, but it ends with the goons interrupting their sleep as they still have a hard-on for coming after our MC and this young girl, which means they have to then just escape abruptly in the middle of the night. And they are eventually cornered. And when it looks like there is no escape at the end of this pier they are stuck at, basically the MC just calls up Levy, as he calls her, or it, which is apparently Leviathan, the god of the ocean. And he jumps on its head, and they just scoot off into the ocean towards the Demon Continent. That's basically the plot for this episode. A very slow episode, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. We only really get introduced to the one character, which is the young girl. We also get some slight backstory on the grandfather, but basically just in correlation to the young girl. So we only get introduced to this young girl and no other characters. We also do not have any flashbacks or any scenes, really, concerning the childhood friend or Elka or the other knight back in the capital. We don't see any of those at all. I'm wondering at this point if the show is just going to cover the MC and his travels, and barely, if at all, cover what is happening back in the Imperial capital with his classmates and stuff like that. That might be secondary, if not completely just not covered at all in this season. We'll have to see. But it looks like it's leaning more towards just covering the adventures of the MC as he travels in this world for a second time. Now, I am quite happy in a way they are taking it as slow as they are in terms of the story beats. They are trying to take time to introduce new characters, to try to build character, right? Not actually just be nameless faces, but actually build some character and emotional attachment and just general attachment to the characters they are introducing. And they have done fairly well so far in the second episode with this young girl. She is likable, a bit humoristic, a merchant's granddaughter, right? And she seems to have like a very nice character, both in terms of strength of character as well as being sort of lighthearted, funny, and cute. So definitely very likable. I do hope that they will continue to introduce characters in this same way moving forward, spending time to actually flesh out the character, not just introducing them. It's like, okay, here is X. They do X. They are from X, and that's it. Actually trying to flesh out characters is definitely commendable in an Isekai franchise where you usually don't see too much character development or build up at all. So that was good. They seem to mix the humor and the somewhat emotional backstory beats well. They mix between them without too much issue. So I don't have any big criticisms on that front in this episode. And as I mentioned in the episode early here, there is no big battles this episode, there is no big altercations. There are some like slight standoffish moments between the guards and the MC, but nothing happens really. So they are taking it very slow. They're not just pushing the power fantasy concept here, but they are just really taking their time. I think that this show can be a very nice, a bit more laid back, not too serious, but just sort of like a comfort food sort of isekai this season, where it might not be too heavy. Of course, we don't know that yet, but it's looking like it's not the most heavy, but it has interesting characters, it has relatable characters, and it might just be like a very comfy anime. You sit back at night, maybe with some nachos or some whatever else, some pizza, and you watch it, and you think like, hey, you know, that was a nice episode. It was comfy, I smiled a bit, I giggled a bit, I was entertained. This was definitely a very fair 7 out of 10 episode for me, both in terms of story and especially character building. I hope they continue this trend up and don't just horribly crash at the end of the season, but we will have to see. That will be my end of this episode review though. I hope you did enjoy the episode and this review of the episode. And if you did enjoy, please subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, and comment if you have comments on the show, on the episode, on this review, or whatever else you might have on your mind. I respond and read every single comment, so feel free. If this is one anime you would like me to cover for the entire season, also feel free to say that. This is one I am probably going to be covering as I am enjoying it a fair bit so far. That will be all though. I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.